Welcome to the Strella Expert Roundtable. My name is Rachel Strella, and I'm the founder and owner of Strella Social Media. We work with business owners, subject matter experts, entrepreneurs, marketing directors, and marketing managers, and they all share the same common social media frustrations. Today, we're going to address the top 6 challenges they face with social media. Our panel will share expertise with valuable and actionable takeaways that you can implement immediately. So let's meet the rest of the team.
My name is Lainey Goff. I'm the Executive Vice President and TikTok expert.
My name is Ella Gunnell, and I'm the Creative Manager at Strella.
My name is Anna, and I'm the video editor and graphic designer.
My name is Kenny, and I help with writing captions and sometimes with content creation.
My name is Jess, and I'm a marketing assistant.
Thanks, guys. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. So the first question that we hear a lot is, developing video content. Competition is fierce for attention, and creators struggle with their comfort level on camera. So what ways can we break through the noise, and how can people feel more comfortable being on camera? I personally, I struggle with this. I'm introverted and I'm a writer, so I like to think and sometimes overthink about what I'm going to say before I say it. I found what's helpful is to have a few bullet points of items that I want to share. It helps from keeping me thinking I need a script. But I also think that starting small is really key. So rather than recording a full-length movie, I try to aim for maybe 15 or 30 seconds with just a quick tip. Editing software is my BFF, especially in shot.
Those are really great points to make and actually go hand in hand with my number one tip for building confidence on camera, which is to start with Instagram stories. Instagram stories are a great place to really share relatable content, and you can do it by starting off with things that interest you or that you have a passion for. I would suggest starting on a personal account and just every day for a month showing up on Instagram stories and talking about something that interests you, so that you can get in tune with what it feels like to be on camera. And it also helps you to develop that relatability with an audience.
I think that's a great point there. I think I would add is just avoid that pressure of being perfect. I think everyone thinks when you're on camera, or you see people on social media that seem like they're just really, really good at videos and have these big personalities. That's probably not the first time they've done videos. So starting slow, like both Rachel and Lainey mentioned here, definitely important. Avoid any of those overly scripted videos because people see right through that. They're there to connect with you. That's your audience. They're looking to see what you're up to and what you want to talk to about with them. So that's really the big thing there is you want to be able to hit play and be yourself. If you slip up or forget something, just remember it's okay.
Yeah, it's fantastic. These are really great points. Well, we'll move on to the next question. Getting content seen, even beyond video content, is a challenge. Building a following is another challenge, and it's not easy. So there's so much content in the web right now. I mean, creators get really discouraged if they take the time to create strong content, and then they have very few eyeballs and even fewer engagements. So what can they do to build a following and increase visibility?
I think step number one is to understand that virality isn't what brings money in the door when it comes to marketing your brand or business on social media. It's more beneficial to have a smaller following that's invested and dedicated to you and your brand than to have a bunch of followers who just found you from one viral video and they actually aren't as invested and willing to pay for your product or service. The second thing is to trust the process. You have to be in it for the long game. A lot of people think, just like with the virality aspect of it, is that you can grow a social media following overnight, and that's just not the case, especially if you're starting from scratch. In order for you to see that success, you have to be successful at staying really consistent, learning everything you can about the platform that you're utilizing, and understanding what actually resonates with your audience. In addition to that, you really need to focus on using your analytics to help guide your strategy so you can understand what you can improve on. There's a lot of moving pieces that you can't learn overnight. The third step is that you have to have a really good understanding of where your target audience is actually consuming content. Doing market research to understand which social media platforms your ideal customers are on is a pivotal step for you to increase your exposure. You can't just be on every single platform and think that your ideal customer is going to be there, because that's just not the case. I like to separate the type of content that you should use on social media platforms by picking one long form platform. This could be something like a blog or a YouTube channel where you make long form videos, and then choosing 2 short form platforms. This could be anything like TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest. If you're unsure of which platforms that you should choose for your audience, I would take the time to ask some of your current clients or customers. It's an easy way to get started, and then you can build from there by doing more research to understand where your target audience is actually consuming that content. And then once you pick your channels, it's really important for you to make sure that you understand how that content is actually consumed on that platform and how that specific algorithm works so that you can maximize your exposure.
You know, I really like what you said about being in it for the long game. And that's so important. This isn't something that's going to happen overnight. You're building a relationship with your audience. And so you have to commit to that and consistently show up. All right, we'll go into question number 3. Let's talk about algorithms. We get lots and lots of questions about those. What role do they play in content exposure?
Yeah, most of the time I feel like people think that the more that they repurpose their content across all social media channels, that the more exposure they're going to get. But the problem with that is that the algorithms just aren't the same. They're not universal. Every social media app has its own unique algorithm, and they're not the same. So this is why it's important to understand each social media platform on its own, and especially the ones that you're choosing that are specific to where your ideal customers or clients are consuming that content. This includes everything in regards to the algorithm, including hashtags, captions, if you're using on-screen text, what the dimensions of a photo or video should be. All of this needs to be considered. But there's one thing that does stay consistent across all the social media platforms, and that's that they all want users to stay on the app for as long as possible. So there's 2 things that you can really do to make sure that you're keeping viewers on the app longer. Number 1 is to consider that quality matters. And I'm not speaking about the aesthetics of your photo or your video or the content that you're producing, but the value that you're bringing to the table for your audience. Make sure that you're giving them small wins or solutions to small problems so that they can see that you're an expert in what it is that you're sharing with them, but also to keep them coming back for more. The second thing is that consistency is key. The more consistent you are, the more the algorithm is actually going to reward you. Not only that, but you'll also be rewarded with data. And that data is going to be able to really guide you in your strategy and how you're producing content on that specific platform. You should consistently be looking at the metrics such as watch time, keyword usage, and engagement rates. This is going to be things like comments, shares, and faves. All of this is going to help you to understand what's actually resonating with your audience and what isn't.
Yeah, that's really great. And to piggyback off of that, if the number 1 thing is consistency, well, then the question leads to, well, then what about frequency? How much do I post? Should I be posting 1 time a week, 3 times a week, every day, multiple times a day? And really the answer to that is that there's no one size fits all. But I would say a general rule of thumb is that however much content you're producing needs to be sustainable in order to keep that consistency. So if you can comfortably produce 3 pieces of content a week that are high quality and of high value for your audience, then I would say 3 times a week is what you should stick to. And if it's a struggle for you to do any more than that, then don't worry about it, because consistency is number 1. So just do as much as you can comfortably do that is still valuable to your audience. Now, another quick note I want to make about Instagram in particular, because we've been seeing some changes with Instagram recently for a lot of our clients. And so I want to touch on a few points. Now, last year, we know that Instagram was all about Reels. They were pushing out Reels. If you wanted your account to get seen, you had to be involved in Reels. And while that's still the case, we have found that with a lot of our clients, the potential for virality is not as high anymore. And we're just not seeing Reels have the same kind of impact that they had like early 2022. But this is not necessarily a bad thing. Here's what we're seeing. So though the overall decrease in reach is happening with Reels, we're not necessarily seeing that engagement is going down, which means that less people are seeing your reel, but more of people who are interested in the reel are seeing it. So they're pushing it more out to your own audience and similar audiences rather than to just everyone. So I actually think this is a really good thing.
And to just go off of the last thing that you said, I think that you can definitely take a great comfort in the fact that algorithms are putting your content with people who share similar interests and are actually going to be more willing to engage with the content that you're putting out, because everything that they have liked, commented, shared, or even viewed multiple times is taking into consideration. The more they interact with the content that you put out, the more likely they're going to be to see it and have it show up on their feed. The importance of paying attention to algorithms is because they can have a big impact on how your posts are seen and by what audience, as I just said. A key element, as Lainey talked about earlier, a lot goes into it. A key element is using hashtags. Hashtags can significantly increase your chances of your content being seen. For an example, people on TikTok, if you're more into hair and salons, you're going to want to use the hashtag hair talk because that's what's trending.
All right, well, moving on to question number 4. Social media is constantly evolving. New platforms, new features, and of course, algorithms are emerging all the time. It's difficult to keep up with these changes and adapt a social media strategy accordingly. So how do we stay abreast of changes and trends?
Yeah, so I can speak to this personally. I am an Instagram girl through and through. When TikTok came out, I was hesitant. I didn't download it for the longest time. I'm like, this is stupid. I don't really want to get involved in this. But being in the business of social media, you have to be willing to sort of adapt and change and see where the industry is going. So I finally bit the bullet. I have downloaded TikTok. I'm still not like a TikTok addict, but I do try and check it at least every few days, just so that I can be aware of the types of things that I'm seeing there, how people are using hashtags, how their captions look, how they're tagging people, all that sort of thing. So that way I can make informed recommendations to my clients. Now, the other two things, or 2 resources that I like to use to stay abreast of trends is I follow the Instagram creator account. And this is specifically for Instagram. They have a lot of creators that come on there and share different tips and tricks on how to get the best use and best reach for your Instagram account. And then another really great resource I like is Social Media Today. It's basically a news outlet for all things social media. And so if you want to be abreast of all the trends that are coming or all the changes that are coming, that is a great place to start.
Yeah, similar to that, I think my best advice would just always be to consult young people. I think the internet trends are much more woven into the real world lives of the younger generations, and it brings them just automatically closer to that cutting edge of what's happening, how people are formatting, the way they speak, the way they talk, these little things that the algorithm picks up on and notices and wants to push even more. And so when in doubt, a young pair of eyes on something like that, I think is always pretty useful.
Yeah, I completely agree with you guys. And I'd like to add that looking at analytics and keeping your eye on numbers is very good tip, because most of what's trending will usually have a very large number of engagements along with it. Again, I'm a very good TikTok person and I am like on it 24/7. So I'm using it as an example again. But whenever you look at a sound on TikTok, it will show you how many posts come with that audio. And usually if there's around 40,000 posts along with it, you can usually assume it's trending.
Well, so many people are uncertain of how to balance promotion with educational, valuable, and engaging content. As we know, too much promotion can come across as pushy or salesy and turn off followers, while too much educational content may not do enough to build the brand. So how can marketers and business owners balance the two to get the results that they want?
Yeah, I think there's been a really big shift in how people are actually selling their products or services, because they're actually no longer selling their products or their services. The truth is that people don't buy products or services, they buy people. They actually invest into another human. So the first step should always be to showcase your expertise, like you said, but also to build a connection with your viewers. And the best way to build that expertise is to share educational content, like I stated before, with giving them small wins. But interwoven with that, you also need to make sure that you're bringing in a relatability factor. If you're truly an expert, that's the easy part. But it's also actually really easy to showcase relatability as well, because you can do things like showing your company culture, giving them common frustrations that you experience in your business, that they actually feel like you're being vulnerable with them. What a day in the life looks like for you as a business owner or somebody who works within your business. These are all ways for them to get to know your business or brand on a deeper level so that they feel more willing to invest in you. In turn, they're investing in your product or your service.
Yeah, I really want to echo all of that. Social media is really not the place to be promotional. Yes, you are selling yourself, but you should not be pushy. You should try to do everything Lainey said and just sort of show value, show your expertise, and build that connection in a natural way with your followers. And then the selling will come as a result of that. So a really simple way that you can begin doing this on your own social media is simply with what we call monitoring. So that's basically just interacting with your followers, responding to comments, responding to DMs. It's pretty common for people to just, click the like button, like someone's comment, or respond with emojis or just a generic response and copy and paste it down the line. But you're actually missing out on a lot of opportunity to foster connection when you do that. So I would suggest just try this week. Try to have a genuine interaction with your followers. So if someone comments something, try and act like you're talking to a friend. Try and spark a conversation, and be sure to respond to as many as you can. And this is a great way to start fostering that connection with your audience and to build that trust and to build that reliability. And people are more likely to keep interacting with you if they feel like you're being responsive to them.
Measuring the return on investment, the ROI of social media efforts can be really challenging, especially for small business owners and solopreneurs, because they have limited resources to devote to analytics and other things that may have an impact. It's also hard to quantify. This makes it really hard to justify the time and resources invested in social media. So how do we measure ROI in a meaningful way? And how do we know how much time or energy and effort to invest? First, we have to understand the role of social media and its impact. It is a top of the funnel activity. So that means that this is including awareness and brand building. So a business must first be invested in that goal alone before they can expect moving to anything that is an acquisition or monetary outcome. I think too many businesses jump right to lead generation, which I believe is a natural outcome of a successful social media presence. But it does take time. We tell people they have to be willing to invest and serve their community first, and don't expect a steady stream of leads for at least 18 to 24 months. You have to build that community first. If I had any actionable advice, it would be to spend time to build your audience, build your list, and build your community. Offer value first. And once you've established trust, you can move through the funnel.
Completely agree with that. Well said. I also often think ROI is just too often measured in dollars and cents. There are other returns from social media efforts that positively impact your business, including visibility and loyalty for your brand. Social media offers the opportunity to showcase your brand's persona and allow people to connect with it. Those connections are what will drive returns on your efforts. Taking the time to build your community through value-added, meaningful content, which we've been talking about throughout this entire conversation on the importance of those areas, in a format that's being social first, not forced selling, will lead towards sustainable growth of your social media platforms. My advice, focus on consistent, meaningful content that is on brand, and you'll see growth in reach and engagement of your audience. That is the strategy that will increase your returns.
Well, I hope that you've enjoyed this talk with us, and I hope that you have some actionable takeaways that you can implement right away to help you with your social media challenges.